Yo, what is up, you guys? So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you guys about making some awesome drum racks. So let's go into Ableton now. And so there's basically two ways I'm going to show you with these drum racks. And one kind of favors having a lot of drum kits and using the chain selector to quickly switch through those, so that way you can audition a lot of different types of drum kits. And the other way is better for one-shots. So if I only want to just try out a bunch of different kicks or a bunch of different one-shots or snares or things like that. So this first way is actually better for drum kits, and I've seen a lot of people use this method, whereas I've never really seen anyone use this method, the one I kind of have as a second way of doing it. So let's just start off with the first method, the way that a lot of people kind of already do. So this way is using the chain selector, so we can switch different drum kits. So let's just back up a bit and explore some of this. So I'm going to make one from scratch so you can get an idea of what's going on here, but let's just open up everything inside of this. So you can see this is just like a drum rack orgasm of shit. So in here you see a bunch of samples and blah blah blah, and then I can just send extra sends to this and, you know, route those out to other sends. So it gets really crazy. So the idea here is to have all these different drum racks, and let's go over here, and then we're going to duplicate it outside in a rack and then use the chain selector to switch between them. So as you can see, let me just play some of these. So let me just turn off everything else here. I can't solo it because then you won't hear me. So let's just go ahead and play this, and I'm just going to switch through the chain selector. So if you're worried about, you know, turning a knob too fast and not getting to hear each sound by itself for a good amount of time, you can always just hold down Control, and no matter how fast I move my mouse, it's just going to go one at a time. And same on Mac, that would be Command. So just hold down Command and you'll go slowly through it, because if I'm not holding that, then I just can go ridiculously fast. So let's just listen to this. And it's not playing, so let's go over here. So you can see it's just a really quick way to kind of just try out a bunch of stuff. So you have the maximum capacity of 127 of these, or 128 if you count 0. And the way we do this, so let's just now kind of make one. So I'll keep referring back to this one to kind of show you some stuff, but let's just go to Control-Shift-T to make a new MIDI track here. And if we wanted to, we could use Control-Shift-M to make a new clip, but I'm just going to copy this one right here. So let's go ahead and get that down here. And let's just go grab a drum rack. So we're just going to grab it out of Instruments, and we're just going to place it down here. You could just double click it from here and it'll just go on the selected track. But I always have the tendency, or maybe some sort of OCD, to just bring it down here, just drag it down myself. So now we have the basic drum rack, and so let's just pretend I'm going to build a kit. So we're just going to drag a bunch of samples in here and just pretend that these are like kick, snare, and like hi-hats and all this sort of stuff. So basic stuff that you would have in a kit. So we're just going to pretend it's that. We're going to group this now, because that's the way we're going to see the chains list. Because if we go here and open up the chains list and the macros here, we don't have the option to have a chain selector. So we need to group this to then see another macro control and another chains list. So let's duplicate this. So just press Control D or Command D, and let's just call this one drum rack 1, drum rack 2. So we're just going to pretend they're different sounds, and you know, you can just make a bunch of these. So let's see how many I made there. It looks like I was making a bunch, but I don't think I saw them happening. Oh, there we go. I clicked it so many times. So let's pretend these are all different. So now if we open up the chains list, now we can start moving each of these. So towards the bottom of each of these squares, it's kind of weird. You can start moving these out. So the idea is the chain selector right here, we can map this. So if we go mapping real quick, click on the little orange box, map it. That's the chain selector. So I think I have around, it looks like around 10 or so. So let's set the max to around 10 for the selector. So that way when I turn this knob, it will play a different drum rack. So remember, each of these boxes represents a different drum rack, which could be completely different samples, and you can just have 127 samples in each one, plus 127 different chain selectors. So you can get really crazy and audition a lot of different sounds. So that's really good as a writing tool if you're just kind of in the mood to play around, try a lot of different new sounds and stuff like that. So you can really just kind of fly with it. Although I recommend always building your drum kit first, get that strong foundation at the beginning. Some people just kind of like to mess around and try out different stuff. So that's great because you can just change out a different kit in your arrangement already. So that works out perfectly. So now if we go here, we can see the chain selector is now just, it looks like I had 7 of these. So I can just always go back here, map this to 7. So that way, every position that the parameter is turned on is actually going to play something. So if we just kind of play this now, so from here, well, they all sound the same. So you get the idea. So that's kind of the basic idea of how this works. So each of these is a drum rack, and then we can switch between those. And like I said, the MIDI is only going to be triggering the active selected drum racks. So you don't have to worry about all these other ones kind of eating away at your CPU. They're not activated when they're not selected. So of course, if you want to start combining different layers together, you can always just drag them out so that they trigger 2 drum kits at once or stuff like that. Or is there a way to kind of pencil tool another? No. So you kind of have to drag them out. So, if you want to start layering even drum racks on top of each other, that is possible as well. And so, let's see, what else do I want to show you? So if we open up everything else inside of this, so if we open up the chains list here, what we do get is an I/O, and we get a returns and sends sort of thing. So just like in Ableton, how we have returns and sends here, so, usually reverb and time-based effects out here to send our groups to or tracks to, we have the same thing here. So if we go back here, let's say I want to have a parallel drum bus of saturation, like let's say a sausage fan or something like that. I just drag it in here, and we can now turn on these sends and now send audio to it. So let's say I wanted to send some of these samples to send A, which is the sausage fattener. That's what I can do. I can even send it to itself, or route this out to another send already in Ableton, or just have it go out the output, and then you can adjust the volume. So usually I like to map things like the volume of the sends to macros and stuff. So if we go back to the one I made before, you can see I have the rack volume of the sausage fattener already there, and I have an attack and a sustain from a transient master. So it's like just a basic transient plugin. And then I have the fatness parameter already mapped, and then I have the reverb send return track down here already mapped. So that way you can kind of create like a whole bunch of cool stuff and effects in here. So yeah, that's pretty useful. And if you really wanted to, you can map all the sends to different macros. So if I wanted to map the each of these volumes, so that way I can start creating different sends for that, or control the volume to what's going into the send, you could do that, but that takes a while if there's a lot of samples. So that is one way of doing this. So this way is common. I've seen a lot of people use this technique with the chain selectors. It's kind of an advanced drum rack idea, but it really is cool once you've built these. They take a long time to build. So this is cool for auditioning a bunch of drum kits. So the second way is actually just better for one shot. So if you don't really want to have a bunch of drum kits and build those and take all that time, you can just do this way. So this way is basically just one drum rack. You drop all your samples in there. So this is like one shots, kicks and stuff. So I have like 40 kicks in here. They're all in the same key. They're all from my kicks pack from my website. And so, you know, sometimes I just like open up the little library here and just kind of listen to it up here. But sometimes I just want to hear it in the mix. So, you know, I created these so that way I can just preview these. So this one works really differently because we're not going to use the chain selector or anything like that. We're actually going to use a pitch tool. So I dragged in a Ableton MIDI effect pitch, put it before the drum rack, and then I can map that to another macro control. And so I have 40 samples in here, so I set the pitch from 0 to 40, and now when I play this, I can just quickly swap out different kicks. So that what this is doing is all these kicks are kind of right here, just like you would see in a sampler of sorts, except they're all different samples and not different pitches of that. And by moving the pitch, it's just going to move the MIDI up. So of course, in the MIDI clip, this C1's going to stay there, but the pitch tool actually just moves up the note that's being played without moving it in the clips. So that's a great way to just kind of audition a lot of different kicks. So if we just kind of listen to this, you'll see what's doing. So it's pretty great. So this one's actually really simple. It's a lot simpler of an idea, but if you wanted to, you could put these kind of drum racks, and you can open up a chains list like this. So the drum racks inside of each of these chains could actually have like 128 different kicks, and you can quickly audition through those with the turn of the pitch tool. And then if you want to switch different types of keys, you can use the chain selector to do that. So that's actually something I'm building right now. So you know, like this one right here is all kicks in the key of A. So I'm gonna probably put this all together in a big drum rack, and then have all my different keys. So I'll be able to use the chain selector to switch from kicks in A and kicks in B and kicks in C and stuff like that. So once I build that out, I'll give that out for free for everyone who's bought in the 300 Kicks tune pack from my site. So just a little added bonus for people who already own that. So let me show you how to make this one. So this one's actually a lot easier. So we're gonna go back to Instruments, grab the drum rack, just like that, and let's just drag a bunch of samples in there. So just like this. So in this case, we don't have to pretend these are different sounds. They're all different kicks, and that's exactly what we want. So let's group this. So that's Control G or Command G if you're on a Mac, and we're going to open up the chains list and the macro and all that stuff. I just like having that stuff open. So now let's grab a pitch tool. So from MIDI effects, we're going to put it before the drum rack, and we're going to make sure that when we map this, so let's just map this, we're going to set this from our minimum value from 0 to 8, since I have 8 samples in here. So let's set this to 8, and so now this is just going to switch between all of these. So if we just play this, let me make sure that that is playing. And let me see, I think I overshot it, or let's see. Well, of course, once you fill them all up, you'll be able to hear how they all audition differently. So that's really the idea. So this is a lot simpler. So, you know, I wouldn't do this way for drum kits. I would just really do this for one shots. If I just want to go through 128 different kicks quickly, this is the way I would do it. And of course, you can always just, like I said, put these inside a bigger chains list and select different keys and types of kicks. So, I mean, really, you could have thousands of samples inside of these crazy racks. So, let me see if what else I did in this bottom one. So I also mapped a gain here, so that way if, you know, some kicks are a little louder or need to be brought down a bit, you know, I have a gain here. So the way I did that is I just put a utility outside of the rack right here. So when I click here, you can see that the drum rack is all contained in itself, and putting the utility after it, so outside of these extra blue bars. So if I close it down like this and I put it outside of it, I can still map it to this beginning macro list and still have it affect every sample I play. So that's kind of the idea there. So very simple. Hopefully you guys like this and have fun making a lot of drum racks. And let's see what else. That's it. So thanks guys for watching, and of course, later.